I mean, the people who give him the most adulation and attention are sort of these right-wing isolationists, I would say anti-Semitic, super racist people who serve as his base, and he wants to cater to them.
He also realized that, you don't need white people for white supremacy anymore. The same way you don't need, just men to have patriarchy. We see women uphold it quite well, paging Amy Coney Barrett and her friends. So, what the Republicans have been brilliant at doing is not only disenfranchising people of color and marginalized groups across the country, but they're really starting to, use their white supremacist rhetoric and chip away at certain Latino, Asian, and Black populations across the country. You're seeing, Latinos in Arizona and Texas, Asians in New York, Black folks in the South, voting in, pockets, but in particular elections with the Republican Party because they're buying into this isolationist rhetoric. They're buying into this nationalist rhetoric that means something for someone else means that it's taking away from something from you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am afraid that this quote that I'm going to read right here from Booker T. Washington is going to apply very nicely to this story we're going to talk about here. And the quote goes like this. There's a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well because as long as the disease holds out, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. This quote applies not only to white liberals, but also black liberals as well, too. Whom there's another quote from Booker T. Washington that applies to them that says that there's a certain class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Okay, partly because it pays, and some of these people don't want the Negro to lose his grievances because they don't want to lose their jobs. And I think that perfectly describes this professor, Miss Christina Greer, who is a political science professor at Fordham University, that has made another claim in which she is alleging that the GOP is racist because they disagree with her politically. And I want to talk about that. Before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you want to support my channel, you can check out my new merch, my donkey pox shirt, the disease that is infecting America, or my hashtag no days off / hard work patriotic t-shirts, or my MAGA hub shirts. You can check them out at my website, gforemanbcp.com. Get 20% off using discount code gforemanbcp. So without further ado, let's roll this clip of Miss Christina Greer, who's super woke, right, go on MSNBC and claim that the GOP governors busing illegal immigrants to liberal cities, sanctuary cities like Washington, D.C. and New York City that claim that they love illegals, how they are racist, that busing illegal immigrants is racist. Take a look.
But we know that, racists don't mind paying this money. We saw this with, our parents and grandparents' generations when schools were, forced to integrate and they refused. So they would ship, African Americans to other states to attend college because they didn't want to integrate schools in, say, South Carolina or Virginia or Georgia. So racists, are willing to pay the money and they don't care if taxpayers pay the brunt. I think what's so disgusting about this is that, these are people's lives. Just as Maria said, we have men, women, and children on a bus for days on end, not knowing where they're going, and there is no coordination. And we know that the governors of these states are only doing this to perform an act just to try and appease their particular bases, even though they're costing their own taxpayers money. And even though the vast majority of Americans are descendants of people who came from countries like Italy and Ireland and Germany and Poland, who were treated the same, in similar ways, but they've forgotten that history. And that's the part and the problem of America, in that we're so ahistoric when it comes to how we treat immigrants and how we think about this nation of immigrants in the Statue of Liberty and so many other places that are supposed to be welcoming.
Yeah, so this is a classic example of everything we don't like, everything that upsets us is racist, regardless of whether or not it's actually racist, okay? Because she's mad that the GOP governors have gotten smart about this issue of illegal immigration, and they are sending illegals, busing illegals to these liberal cities that claim they want illegals. They're sanctuary cities, right? Illegals are welcome here. However, we quickly found out that that's not the case, right? That they are sanctuary cities in name only, in the sense that They say that rhetoric, just hoping with their fingers crossed that the illegals actually never make it to the so-called sanctuary cities like Washington, D.C. and New York, okay? Because just a small, tiny bit of illegals arriving into those cities have caused those mayors to go into absolute meltdown mode that their city is being overrun with illegal immigrants that are allegedly straining their social safety net, okay? Strain their social safety net. The same arguments that people like her, right, Miss Christina Greer, would say is racist if the left said those things. Okay, again, notice how this woman has no problem with Biden flying illegal immigrants all across the country, right? When he's transporting them, she has no problem with it. And I don't really understand why, because what you're saying essentially is that transporting illegals is racist. What's the difference between the GOP transporting illegals and Biden transporting illegals? I don't see the difference, because it's not like the GOP is forcing these illegals on the bus. They sign consent forms saying that, hey, we want to be bused to Washington, D.C. or New York. That's where we want to go. So again, how is it racist? It's only racist because she doesn't like it. It's only racist because the Democrat mayors are being embarrassed by the fact that it's clear they don't like their own policies. They don't actually like illegal immigration. They don't like illegals, despite their claims they love illegals. That's the only reason it's racist. Again, classic example of if I don't agree with it, it's racist. I'm going to pull the race card. Everything is racist. Everything. Okay? Everything is racist. And you notice how in the first clip I played, right, she called so-called people of color white supremacists that agree with the GOP, right? So if you're a so-called person of color and you vote for the GOP, you are a white supremacist, okay? So again, everybody is racist that doesn't agree with her, or you're a white supremacist that doesn't agree with her. Again, those terms have no meaning anymore. They simply mean that if you disagree with liberals, right, Democrats, you are racist or a white supremacist. That's what it is. That's what it is, okay? And she also brings up this silly point about how, well, you know, America is a country of, you know, immigrants or whatever. And it's like, well, what does that have to do with anything? People are not opposed to legal immigration. If you come over to the country with the proper paperwork, you've been vetted, you come in legally, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. I'm pro legal immigration. I have no issues with it, right? But when it comes to illegals, people who are crossing the border illegally, being smuggled in, okay? We don't know who they are. We haven't vetted these people. We know nothing about them. And they come into our country and they are a strain on our resources, which is what, you know, the Democrat mayors are admitting. They're straining our resources. That's a problem, because taxpayers got to foot that bill. And she wants to talk about taxpayers foot the bill. Oh, they're paying $80,000 to ship migrants to New York City and Washington, D.C. First of all, I don't believe it's $80,000. But even if it was $80,000, that's a drop in the bucket compared to how much you would pay to take care of illegals in your state. Again, evidenced by the fact that these Democratic mayors are having a complete and total meltdown over the strain on resources that these illegals are having in their cities, right? So $80K is a small price to pay to make the illegals go away. Right? I'm just saying, that's a small price to pay. Okay? But again, here we go, guys. Why are you so upset that the illegals are being bused to a place that's supposed to be welcoming? That is what blows my mind. Because if states like Texas and Arizona are so racist, why do you want your beloved illegals there in the first place? You shouldn't want them there. You should welcome them to New York City and Washington, D.C. with open arms. You should say, hey, thanks. Thanks for using your taxpayer money to send these illegals to places where we want them, right? Thank you for that. That's what you should be saying. But again, the outrage that you're seeing from these illegals being busted to places that claim they love illegals, that they want them, shows you exactly what the Democrats are about. The whole plan, the whole time was that we're going to be soft on the border. We're going to be soft on illegal immigration. We're going to allow them to flood this country because we want them to stay in red states so that eventually their kids, when they're born here, because they get citizenship for being born in the United States, they are born, they become Democrats, and then they vote blue. We're going to flip states blue simply by having as many illegals as possible come into those states, have kids, make lives there, hope they never come to any blue states or blue cities besides California, and then have them vote Democrat. And we're going to call you a bigot and a racist and xenophobic and all the other stuff if you disagree with us. right? If you don't want illegals in your backyard, right? You're racist. Even though we don't want the illegals in our backyard either, but you can't call us racist because we're Democrats, right? We're liberals. And Democrats/liberals can't be racist. They can't be white supremacists. We are the anti-racist, right? We're the anti-racist, okay? The only people that are racist are the people that we disagree with politically. Doesn't matter if they do the exact same things that we do. It's only racist if they do it, because by definition, anybody who disagrees with us is racist, right? That's basically how it goes. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.